Hi everyone! Today we're doing a special edition reading dedicated to the partial solar eclipse in Virgo. It's going to be happening on September 21. It's just about a day before autumn equinox, which is when the day and the night time are equal. It's also connected, of course, with the function of the sun, the energy of the sun. So it's a pretty potent set of events, I would say, but we will talk about the equinox in a separate reading. Today I wanted to focus specifically on the eclipse and what does it mean for us. It's going to be the solar eclipses happen during new moons, and this is also a new moon event, new moon in Virgo. This is that second new moon in Virgo that we were talking about. It's at 29 degrees, so the first one was at 1 degrees or even 0. This one is at 29. So this is a pretty big deal. Yes, the 29, because for each of the positions of the planet within a certain sign, like the chunks are 30 degrees, right? If you think 360, 12 signs, do the math. So 29 is like just about at the last degree where it's still a Virgo, which is called a karmic degree, which means that you can see lots of different karmic cycles unfolding, or not necessarily lots, but it will be something that is going to be coming full circle. And yes, this is a new moon, so we're talking setting intentions, we're talking new beginnings, especially when it comes to your personal wellness, to your daily habits, routines, rituals, to the details. You know, they say the devil's in the details. That's what it is, right? Also a certain level of discipline and order in your life. That's where the Virgo strives. That's what the Virgo energy is about. Also some impact or emphasis on the physical health. So that's also something that you may want to rethink. Maybe start new healthier habits, whether it's about nutrition or exercise or sleep or mental health, although it is more about the physical health, but you know that mental health impacts physical health directly. So that could be something for you to think about, giving you some ideas. But we are here today to do a tarot reading. So we are gonna see, I've got my Oracle deck here. This is the Sacred Traveler deck. So we will get 3 themes that we need to know about for this solar eclipse in Virgo. I'll pull 3 cards, we'll talk about them, and then I'll go sign by sign and I'll get you guidance for each zodiac sign. And these guidances are for sun, moon, and rising. So ideally I recommend you watching message for all 3 so you get the more well-rounded message. But if you don't have a chance to watch the 3, then watching it for a sun sign, meaning that's when your birthday is totally fine. With all that said, let's get started. Please don't forget to like the video. If you're new, please subscribe to my channel. This all means a lot to me. Also, a little disclaimer, I have 2 kittens behind the camera, and at times they decide to chase each other, to engage in a more adventurous way. So if you're hearing some odd noises, it's just the cats. And with that, the first card is the Wise Leader. You're a beacon for others. So it is a pretty masculine energy, I would say, but also this is great. This is like you've had certain time for reflection, introspection. You know, we had the Lion's Gate, we had Mercury retrograde that took pretty much the entire month of August. Started like towards end of July, and then August was of course still Mercury retrograde plus shadow period. So a good chunk of summer, I would say, right, was that retrograde energy. And now you're getting into the spotlight. Now it's like, what have you learned during this time? What do you have to share? And you'll notice the magic that as you're sharing of your own story, how much it starts clicking for yourself in a very different way. So somewhere where you thought that everything is pretty clear, you know, I've, processed this energy, I've learned from it, I've healed it, I've released it, you may find that there are specific nuances that you haven't really thought about before. The second theme is going to be reaching your destination. Your light is shining brightly. Look at it. Another card with this light shining brightly. And again, to me, this is like that switch of the season almost, right? Especially with Virgo, and we are at the end of the Virgo season, if anything, because the tarot, the major arcana in tarot for Virgo is Hermit. And, you know, that's where you're, again, in a hibernation state, where there's a lot of introspection, where you're more in a solitude, right? We're talking now, it switches up, right? And you're able to finally get to where you want it to be. Or maybe your plans have changed altogether. That's why it's so useful during these new moons to revisit, right? To confirm for yourself, to still want the same things. Or maybe because you've changed, then also your goals are changing, and that's totally okay. So your light is shining brightly. Remember that, you know, it will be shining. You whatever you do, however you appear in lives of other people, is going to be very much noticeable. So this is a reminder for you and a chance to decide how you want to show up in lives of other people. All right, and the third one is breaking trail. A breakthrough is at hand. Again, a perfect card for starting a new path, a new journey, the trailblazing. You know, it's like you're not supposed to follow somebody else's path. You're not supposed to follow the mainstream path that hundreds, thousands, millions of people have done. You're supposed to come up with your own. And it's easier said than done, saying it from experience. It also may take you a minute, right? It's not going to be like an easy result, but it's worth it, right? That it's so rewarding when this energy of innovation, of creative expression pays off, right? Just don't put too much pressure on yourself in terms of the timeline or how much of a payoff you're expecting, right? Go with it, see what happens. If anything, another channel message that I'm getting here is put yourself in unusual situations, try something new, and then you will see that there will be an extra grounding for that breakthrough to happen, because you're going to be in a new environment, you're going to be doing something new, and usually that's when those interesting breakthroughs happen. All right, with all that said, we are going to now move to the sign by sign messaging. I've got my, and I keep forgetting what they're called, doesn't matter. This is a deck by an Italian artist, and I think Italian tarot guy as well. So it's a very much in kind of like the Roman / Catholic artwork, but it's very interesting, and I haven't used this deck for a bit, so let's do this. We will start with Virgo because this is an eclipse in Virgo, and I'll go around the zodiacal wheel. There will be timestamps, so you'll be able to jump right to your sign, and we've got something already. Wow, 4 Wands, good for you, Virgo. This is commitment, this is partnership, and yes, most people know this as the romantic partnership, but it can also be a business partnership, but something long-lasting. Let's take the clarifier. Yeah, Knight of Coins. There's a good chance that this is a business partnership that's coming in for you, where there's an opportunity. Or it could be, of course, a romantic partnership, but it's a very grounded energy, right? By the way, Knight of Pentacles is your energy, but you could also be dealing with another earth sign, or just the vibe of the connection is very much practical, down to earth, but it feels good, especially to a Virgo, right? Like this is the grounded version of love that you like, where there's clarity, we're on the same page of how we see our home, our family, our income, how we do taxes, I don't know, like those kind of things, right? And they are important. If you think about it, it's like we live in 3D world. So but for Virgo, this or any other earth sign, this could sometimes be that extra spark, you know, of like, yes, this is exactly what I want, because I want to feel comfortable in this relationship, right? So once we have this all figured out and it looks like we're aligned here, Like everything else is like a bonus on top. But what I would say is don't rush it, don't push it to go at a certain pace, right? The pace is part of a learning here, and also part of that savoring the development of the relationship. Again, could be personal, could be professional, but this is something this is what this eclipse is bringing to you, this new opportunity. It could be a completely new person, or it could be going, you know, that to the next level with the person who's already in your life. And may come to you as a surprise, by the way, so just giving you a little heads up. All right, next we'll go to Libra. Libra, you have Seven of Swords, clarified by the Chariot. Okay. Oh, sorry, this is Eight of Swords. I was like, it doesn't look like the Seven. The Eight of Swords clarified by the Chariot. So you may be at the crossroads in terms of deciding where to go next. And Libras are well known for struggling to decide, wanting to make everyone happy, you know, be like, okay, but what about this? But what about that? Like, how do I make sure that I cover all the bases? And that's where that self-sabotaging can begin, because it could lead to analysis paralysis, where you end up not taking the step at all. So right now, this is major canon. Right now, the universe, the divine is asking you to take that step forward, right? And you will get some support, some guidance into what that means exactly for you. But I would just say, yeah, that's one of the cats. I would just say don't spoil it, or don't push the brakes on it even that way by overthinking and telling yourself things like, I'm not ready yet, or I don't have all the facts, or, you know, maybe I don't trust this person or the situation. The direction is important. The details, like how you're going to implement it, is secondary, and that's where you have that wiggle room. As long as you make that conscious decision that you're moving in a certain direction and you start taking steps towards it. All right, that was Libra. Next, we're going to go to Scorpio. Just checking on the cats. Four of Coins, clarified by the High Priestess. Okay. So this is very contrasting energies, I would say. This is about embracing, surrendering, and trusting the intuition. This is about closing off and, you know, being defensive or protective, whether it's of your mental state or your actual abundance, finances could be, right? So I get that, but this is the main card. This is the clarifier. So for you, the message is that maybe you've been holding on to something secure and familiar for far too long, right? And Scorpio is a fixed sign. So there is a little bit of that energy where it's like, yeah, you know, maybe this current situation is not ideal for me, but I value what I have. If it's about finances, then, you know, right now the environment we're in, at least in the States, but I know that it's similar, even worse in other parts of the world. There is inflation, lack of jobs, all this global conflicts, and, you know, lots of different factors happening right now that cause for people to feel less secure where they are in terms of their finances, right? And that, of course, can push us, that insecurity can push us into making decisions where we undervalue ourselves, or we take on a job or project, or even make an investment that seems very straightforward and easy, right? Because we want to get into that secure and safe place. The High Priestess doesn't need that, because her security is on the inside, right? That's that intuitive guidance, that even if things aren't necessarily looking like rainbows and unicorns on the outside, my inner state is telling me that this is aligned, right? This is where I should take a risk. And this is a Scorpio energy. So dig deeper into your risk-taking Scorpio. And I'm not saying, I don't know, go to the casino and gamble your last paycheck or something. No, I'm saying just don't go too far with this safety and precaution stuff, right? Because that's what kind of cuts off the energy flow for you. And it's going to be a lot harder to get further assistance and further guidance if you stick with just the intellectual side of things and what makes sense on paper. Next, let's go to Sagittarius. What the Sagittarius needs to know during this partial solar eclipse. Okay, I've got another for once, by the way. And the Chariot. Wow. You see me shuffling. Got the cards that we already seen today. But anyway, the Four of Wands was the key card. And the Four of Wands is about commitment, is about partnership. It could be personal, it could be professional, but it's something that lasts, right? It's not just for a season, that if not for a lifetime, but at least it's for a foreseeable future, right? It's something solid and stable. But I would say the other aspect of it, of course, is the Chariot, which is about being able to let go of precaution, being able to let go of double, triple checking everything, right? This is more about trust the process, go with it, and you're supposed to be taking steps forward in this partnership, right? And again, it doesn't mean that, you need to trust 100% on day one, but it means that this is part of that aligned path where things may not be 100% crystal clear throughout the journey, but that's exactly what you need, and most likely the other person needs, because this is the soulmate vibe, And again, soulmates can exist not just as romantic partners, but also as friends, as mentor and student, as colleagues, in various forms. But soulmates teach each other something, and you and that other person have something to teach each other. So it's gonna be an interesting fall season for you, Saggy. Okay, next we are going to Capricorn. Capricorn, your main card is Four of Wands. Sorry, Six of Wands. I'm like, just had Four of Wands, was a different card. And Six of Swords. Look at that, the sixes. I love the sixes in tarot, all of them actually. Six is the number, is the level where we are going outside. It's like, 1 to 5 in each suite is like, in each suit. Is like when you are exploring what's going on with you, who you are, those topics. And 6 is when you're ready to show up in the world and share, and connect, all this good energy. 6 is also the choice of love. So because 6 is the Lover's card in Major Arcana, right? And again, love, not just romantic, but just generally making a choice not out of fear, but rather out of love. And with this particular sixes, they talk about being safe in your skin, and who you are, what you have, what you've achieved in life, and seeing how this can be beneficial to others, but not in an egotistical way, i.e. like arrogant, showy, and stuff like that, but in a peaceful way, in a way of like, I've been through hell, but I've risen from it, I've learned, I've grown, and my life is so much better for it, right? And this is that part where somebody shows up on social media or even on TV and it's like, yeah, I've disappeared for a couple of years, I've been off the radar, and now I'm ready to tell, it's like a tell-all story of like what went down and what this person has been through. And it's inspirational, right? Apart from the entertainment value, it actually has that inspirational vibe of like, okay, yeah, my situation isn't even that bad, as bad as that person's, and they recovered, they are happy now. Why can't I be? Of course I can. So share what you've learned in the last season. just be truthful with it, be authentic, right? It doesn't have to be lots of bells and whistles. It doesn't have to be flashy with, you know, an intrigue and, you know, a lot of marketing around it. But it should be real. It should be, you know, the most unique thing about you is the way you think and the way you talk, the way you express yourself. That's what's going to attract people to you, right? So just be yourself and speak from the heart. That's what I'm going to say. Sometimes people like to either make the story bigger than what it is, or they try to avoid talking about certain aspects of it because they're uncomfortable. But right now, the universe is asking you to be very honest, very authentic in what happened with you. All right, next we go to Aquarius. Got something here, Ace of Swords. Love it for you, Aquarius. Aquarius is an air sign, and this is air energy. Clarified by Hanging Man. So kind of truth is coming to light. But I'm hearing that it's not just about you learning the truth, it's about you speaking the truth to whoever, you know, it concerns. Like, for example, it could be, let's say you were in a relationship with someone. You split up, you're on your own, you figured something out of like, oh yes, that's what was happening, or that's why that person was reacting that way, or whatever, you know, the storyline. It's not just for you to learn, you need to also share, in this case, with that person that you were with. Because that's when the story is going to be complete, you know, when they will know that you understand, that you've learned. And I'm not saying do it because of you have some kind of agenda, because you want them to like you, maybe you want to get back with them. No, do it to balance out the energy and to complete the cycle. And that's when the new, more honest and authentic cycle can begin, whether it's with this person or with someone new, right? But the truth wants to get out, to be outspoken. And there's something that you've been through recently, or maybe it's even a story that you've heard, you've read, you watched, that gives you a completely new perspective on things where you thought you got it all figured out. But now it's like, wow, this is brand new information, and now I get it. Okay, that was for Aquarius. And now we're gonna go to Pisces. All right. So the card that jumped out is a star, and the clarifier is Queen of Cups. Oh, I like this. This is Aquarian energy, but more than anything, it's about healing. And for Pisces, I love this vibe because Pisces is about healing. It's actually the opposite, the sign opposite to Pisces, to Virgo that we're talking about today, right? And it is the axis of healing, because Virgo is more about physical healing and Pisces is more about emotional healing, right? It's about the state of mind. It's about the subconscious versus conscious, the higher self, connection to the cosmos, to the ancestors, all these wonderful things. And I like that it's with Queen of Cups, because I feel like for Pisces, the challenge is usually that it's hard to ground that energy, right? Or to bring it together, or to stay organized, to kind of like keep it down to earth, right? You're floating in space more than being down to earth. And with Queen of Cups, I get this for you, that this eclipse and this eclipse season even is giving you a chance to not to be all over the place emotionally, but actually veer on the, and like pinpoint what is actually important out of this variety of experiences and emotional states that you've been through. Why was it there, right? Like a more, it's not just grounded, but yeah, it's like a more mature approach to it and more emotionally intelligent, right? It's not about who hurt you or, you know, the accidents and the circumstances. It's like, so where is it taking me? Where do I go from here? Why am I supposed to go through this or to know this, right? And this is where the healing happens. This is where you also connect with your higher power and you understand better what that connection is like, because that's also super important for Pisces, you know, to explore that and to understand what is that relationship, and not just in a very abstract terms. there's something out there, right? And you know, depending on the religion or the belief system that people have, they will connect with it differently. This is like work out your own vision of it, right? And relationship on your terms, not what you've heard from others and you just kind of went with it, but what is it for you, and how can you take advantage of that relationship? And again, I don't mean this in an egotistical way. I mean that you are being guided. How are you going to recognize? What are the signs for you? How are you going to ask for help and support? These are the topics that you're figuring out for yourself during this time. All right, that was Pisces. Next, we go to Aries. So for Aries, we have Page of Cups. Actually, I got it in reverse, so I'm going to take it like that. Clarified by Four of Cups. Yeah, so it could be a desire to just move through things, to just like skip the emotions or skip the learning, skip the uncomfortable part, whether it's about relationship or a new project. I don't know, even learning something new, right? When we start learning something completely new, we are uncomfortable, right? And we can get frustrated, we can get upset or angry, especially if we compare ourselves to somebody else, or we have a specific expectation on how we're supposed to be doing, or the timeline of the progress, right? And if it's not happening that way, we may throw a tantrum, we may snap, right? We become, because we are in that beginner stage, it is oftentimes, it is that page energy, like very fresh, very student energy, right? And it may get us into the immature or extra emotional phase, right? So you want to kind of fast forward through that. You're going to get to a place where you're going to be a lot more comfortable, or it's going to be a lot more interesting. And what I would say here is don't rush it, because it's, well, yes, I mean, we can say it's unfolding exactly the way it is, but also the breakthroughs that we're talking about here, they are happening while you're in this beginning stage. Something that you would completely miss or miss out on if you jump to level 3 or level 5 right away, right? So this is a blessing. This is when this fresh energy is giving you certain information, certain wisdom that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So instead of dreading it and waiting for it to just move on and trying to speed it up, be curious and enjoy this process. That was Aries. Next we move to Taurus. What does Taurus need to know during this partial solar eclipse? Queen of Wands. Clarified by King of Coins. That's an interesting couple, right? You could be dealing with a fire sign, Taurus. But what I see here, of course, this is the feminine and the masculine connection. And it's up to you to decide whether it's with somebody else in your life or it's within you, because each of us has both energies. But I also love how it's a combination of fire and earth, because it's like this new recipe. You're discovering this new formula for, like, on the one hand, staying grounded and practical, but spice it with some spark of creativity and maybe even a little danger, a little bit kind of like, it's not even just stepping out of your comfort zone, that's a given. It's more like it's hot, you know, it's exciting. It's something that maybe I've fantasized about or I watched in the movies, but I never thought that I'd be doing this, right? And now you are, or thanks to this other person, you're able to step into that energy and really embrace it and see that it's not forbidden, it's not dirty, it's not, out of your league. It's like you can do it and you are doing it, right? And that empowerment is what's giving you your breakthroughs and opens up doors to new cycles, whether it's personally or professionally. All right, next we go to Gemini. Gemini, what do you need to know during this eclipse? Look at that. I shuffled and we still got Queen of Wands. Clarified by the Hanged Man. I mean, we also gotten the Hanged Man before for Aquarius. But what it tells me when I get repeated cards is that this is the collective energy, right? And it makes sense, I think, because astronomical transits such as eclipse, they're so powerful and they do indeed impact us as a collective. However, we like to talk about it or not talk about it, but collective consciousness exists. And this is a big proof to it. But anyway, Gemini, you've got Queen of Wands clarified by the Hanged Man. So if you get an opportunity to do something exciting and maybe even dangerous, go for it. And yes, Gemini likes to get their facts straight, to do the homework, to search for the data, to make sure that they're making the right decision. This is the time for you to say yes and to step into something new without having all those facts. But just because it feels good, or, you know, trust in the person that you trust that this is something that you want to partake, that you want to try. Maybe even for some of you, I'm hearing against what your inner voice is telling you in terms of like your logic, your brain, right? Like, I don't know, I don't have time for this. This is not really me. I've never tried this before. And, you know, I don't know, why would I start now? Whatever it is, again, could be personal or professional. This is the time to give it a go and see how that will give you your breakthroughs. And again, notice that's one of the threads that we've seen, and we also saw that in the oracle cards, where it's like a breakthrough, a leadership card, reaching your destination. But it is happening when you are breaking away from what you've normalized in life. It's breaking away from what you consider to be successful or happy or prosperous, right? And doing something that's out of your nature. But that's where the growth is. And even if that grows, even if you do this something just once in your life, it's gonna be like a daily experience. It's gonna be enough. It's gonna get that spicy, that seasoning for what's been cooking underneath, for you to be able to express it. Okay, that was Gemini. Next we go to Cancer. And then we'll have Leo, and we will end with Leo actually. So Cancer, what do you need to know during this eclipse? The Emperor, that's interesting. Clarified by Knight of Coins. So this definitely speaks to that leadership energy that we've seen in the oracle cards. You are supposed to be in charge, whether it's your story or you're working with someone else on a project, helping your friend, right? You are supposed to be in charge. You're supposed to take on a leadership position. But be ready that other people may not get on board as quickly. And it's not about just saying it's my way or the highway. It is that part of leadership where you're supposed to be persuasive and you're supposed to lead by example. Other people will come along, they will join you, they will follow you. It may take a moment, but it's important for you to take consistent steps towards that and keep reiterating and keep explaining whatever you are doing, how it plays into that bigger picture that you're trying to create or that you believe in so passionately, so strongly. The world needs this information and needs this leadership vibe from you, right? It's just more about keep it friendly and let them join you and follow you on their terms when they're ready, rather than pushing this with whatever your reasoning is going to be. And Cancer isn't really that kind of a sign anyway, but if you decide that a lot is at stake and the right thing needs to be done, that could push you into that space. All right, last but not least, Leo. What does Leo need to know for this solar eclipse? Six of Cups, beautiful. Clarified by Eight of Cups. That's interesting. So what I got for you when I saw the Six of Cups is that you already have the information that you're looking for, and you need to draw on your own experience, if anything. So don't look for, you know, the experts in the field, the leaders of the segment. You have the knowledge that you need, but it may come from an unusual place. Like, you may think that you need to know new technology and tools to, you know, reach your goal, but actually it's more about emotional intelligence, or remembering certain experiences from childhood that will show you why one way works, another way doesn't, right? Or where is the wisdom in why is this could be important, you know, some things that are maybe not clearly connected to each other. Also go into more of a creative space, and see, for Leo, it's important to express yourself, especially to others. So see how you can find that, even if it doesn't seem very serious or presentable, right? Still, whatever you feel like creating in your, you know, just for yourself, create that for yourself, but feel free to share it with others, and you'll be surprised what kind of effects it has. With 8 of Cups, it's also about not like leaving behind the patterns where you're trying to make people happy, where you try to impress them. Like it had to be a polished picture to be able to share with the world, and for them then to experience it, right? But this, you're supposed to put this to bed now, right? Or you're, if anything, this is a permission slip for you to do that, and to start sharing your work and yourself, the aspects of yourself that are not perfect, not picture perfect, not necessarily super polished, right? But that raw energy and that learning is something that people will really appreciate, and will connect to it a lot more quickly and passionately than to something that looks like a picture perfect, prepared in advance kind of stunt or show, or creative work, or whatever it is. So again, the world needs you and what you have to share, but don't spend too much time and effort on making it perfect. Share it as it is. There is beauty in it. Okay, with all that said, I'm gonna leave it here. Hope this was useful for you guys. If so, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel, and until next time.